As a new area shift lieutenant, it's been brought to my attention that we just received an officer down call with a suspect on the loose, and we have very little information on the suspect at this time. Our goals here are going to be the immediate rescue of the officer, prevent the loss of this officer's life, and to apprehend the suspect and ensure there's no further danger to the community, and also to secure the crime scene. I'm going to begin by notifying my commander so he can implement his duties. I'm going to go ahead and route to the scene and make sure that we have all available units en route. I'm going to hold any calls, and I'm going to have a sergeant assigned to handle any additional calls. I'm also going to have some 911 reverse calls done while I'm en route to have the area immediately locked down and have any potential witnesses be on the lookout for any suspect information they could give us. All we know at this time is that the suspect was driving a red Honda and that the officers were on a traffic stop from a prior robbery suspect vehicle. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and notify HFD and any medical life flight available in the event that the victim, which is my officer, will need any life flight transport. I'm going to also call Ben Taub Trauma 1 Center and have them on standby for when they respond with my officer down. I'm going to radio to the first responding officer that he's about to assume incident command upon arrival, and he will immediately begin rendering aid and give me an LCAM report, location, condition, action, needs. And I also want to have him go ahead and lock down the entire area and go in and set up a crime scene. As I arrive, I'm going to go ahead and assume incident command, and I'm going to implement the incident command system, which will consist of the 8 critical tasks. I'm going to secure the radio channel, have the air clear for nothing but this officer, designate a separate channel if I need to, identify the hot zone, which is going to be the area where my officer's at. Contingent to it being an active scene, we're going to go ahead and leave the officer there for purposes of the crime scene. Unless it is an active scene, then we'll move him off the X. I'm going to establish an inner perimeter and an outer perimeter. I'm going to set up my command post in my staging area, and I'm going to use additional outside resources that are non-essential to HPD, such as the Houston Fire Department, which will be paramount in this incident. And then I'll request additional resources as we need. At this point, our priority is to rescue this officer, and I'm going to go ahead and recover his BWC at this time before he gets transported by our Houston Fire Department Emergency Services. I'm going to employ multiple sergeants, different in various tasks. I'm going to have some sergeants at the staging area. I'm going to have a liaison sergeant and a safety sergeant and an equipment sergeant for additional needs. I'm going to have my liaison sergeant go and get in touch with our air support and our traffic units and go ahead and clear a path and find traffic patterns for a safe route to the hospital for this ambulance, which will be carrying our fallen officer. Inside that ambulance, I'm also going to have an additional officer with the wounded officer. I'm also going to get with our air support and have them check with the different air towers to make sure that there's a flight path secure in the event that we need live flight. As per policy, it's going to be up to HFD's commander whether live flight is going to be designated in this incident, but I want to have them on standby anyways. I'm going to send an officer and a sergeant to the hospital to be with the officer as well. I also want to send one of our support employees who's going to be acquaintance with the officer and possibly his family to notify the family. Should he not have a support employee, it's going to be an officer of the next highest rank, which is going to be sent to that scene to notify the family. If I'm available at the time, I'm going to go in person myself and pick the family up and bring them to the hospital. However, it's going to be paramount that I remain on scene for the remainder of the investigation. At this point, we're going to go ahead and begin our apprehension phase of the suspect. With the very little information that we have, I'm going to go ahead and designate my command post where I'll be assuming incident command, and I'll be over the Department of Command. I'm going to begin issuing any type of BOLOs we have. I'm going to have the staging area where my liaison sergeant is go ahead and designate the inner perimeter and outer perimeter. We're going to designate this with the red crime scene tape around the hot zone where the officer was injured. This will be for only essential personnel such as district attorney's office, and the crime scene units. Outside of that, we'll have yellow tape where essential law enforcement personnel will be able to enter. I'll have him in charge of the scribe, which will document any employees or any personnel entering or leaving that scene. As soon as the crime scene's secure, which I want to do for cases of prosecution, then I'm going to turn my focus towards the apprehension of the suspect. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and notify our robbery division, who could be helpful, being that it's a robbery suspect. We're going to go ahead and begin to notify all area units, and we're going to utilize resources such as our flock cameras, which can locate vehicles through makes and models, which we have right now as a red Honda. I'm going to get our robbery division to check for any reports. I'm going to speak with the lieutenant over there on the phone or face-to-face, and request that he send his investigators immediately to the scene to search for any prior history with this involving this red vehicle. I'm going to also get my immediate officers on scene to begin a grid search with the use of K9 and our air support. I'm going to check the area surveillance. I'm going to mandate one sergeant to have a crew over there and check any area surveillance, and get with our crime analysis sergeant as well and have him gather any information we might have on this red vehicle. I'm going to check those reverse 911 calls, follow up on those and see if we have any information on the suspect. Someone might have called in a red Honda or a suspicious vehicle at this point. So I'm going to continuously receive updates on that. I'm also going to review the injured officer's body-worn camera, see if it caught a plate or anything like that as he approached the vehicle. And next, I'm also going to check the officer's work history on his mobile computer device, see if it's very common for a police officer to initiate a traffic stop by running the vehicle's plate prior to initiating that traffic stop. So it's a good chance that he ran the plate. If so, then we're going to use that plate to go in and locate that suspect vehicle. I'm also going to get with our Crime Stoppers division and speak with an officer over there. I'll have one of my sergeants set it up, and we'll go ahead and get a Crime Stoppers reward set up. And if we have to, we'll speak with some local stakeholders who can kind of up the reward if we can. I'm going to get with my PIO sergeant and have him go ahead and get ready for the media briefing on scene. And I'll have my local CSTs up and ready also. I also want to have our SWAT division on standby, as well as our hostage negotiation team, in the event that we do locate this vehicle and it turns into some kind of barricaded suspect or a lethal a point where we have to use lethal force. I'd rather have our highly trained SWAT detail on it. And that's going to be until the threat is either eliminated or in custody. I'm going to constantly update the command center and the DOC and our chief of police and relay all information through the chain of command. Once the suspect has been apprehended, we're going to go ahead and begin with the CSI portion of the investigation. This is going to be paramount to the successful prosecution. I'm going to notify our crime scene unit and our special investigative unit and homicide unit, who's in charge and responsible for investigating these types of crimes and these officer-involved shootings. We're going to speak with a special prosecutor on this one, who will route this through our homicide. But I want to get with the homicide lieutenant and go over the facts and the details of the cases before we even speak with any DAs, to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's paramount that we preserve the evidence on scene and we get the facts correct for the successful prosecution of this case. Once relieved by a incident commander of a higher ranking authority, I'm going to go ahead and go en route to hospital myself and be with the family. While I'm en route, I'm going to go ahead and notify the chaplain and a victim service unit to meet me at the hospital. That way he can be there for the family and the officers who were involved in the scene. Once I meet with the officer and ensure his safety and his well-being, then I'm going to go ahead and begin debriefing with the officers and make sure they're all accounted for, first and foremost. I want to go over a post-incident critical checklist with each of these officers who were involved, as well as the officer who was injured in the incident after he's recovered. I'm going to offer these available resources to these officers, such as outside counseling, inside counseling, which is informal and confidential in nature. I'm going to offer peer-to-peer support, and I'm going to offer the resources of the local chaplain that we have designated to our department. If any of these officers need to be on desk duty for the time being, we will go that route. I'll notify my commander, and I'll get his recommendations as well. I'm going to continuously update the commander all the way through the chief of police of any updates that I might have in the event that they're going to hold a press conference with the local news media outside of the hospital, which is very common in these types of situations. I want to go ahead and document every piece of evidence and every piece of information that I have and relay it to the homicide and special investigative unit, and also place it in my own report and working document, as well as my red journal that I keep on hand for any type of testimony and field notes that I might need for the successful prosecution of this suspect who injured an officer. I'm also then going to complete my after-action report by the end of my shift, which will include a significant event, which is relayed to the chain of command all the way up and through to the chief. In the following days, weeks, and months, I'm going to go ahead and monitor and measure the spirit and the morale of my officers and the shift, and I'm going to ensure that they're brought back up to the officers that they were prior to this scene, and continue and ensure that they continue to provide public safety and that they're in the right mental headspace to do that. Should there be any problems, I'll have them address their sergeants first, and then they can get with me. But I want to also personally check on each of these officers face to face and have meetings with them whenever the time allows me to. I'll continue to be there for these officers as they need me, and I'm confident with the resources and the joint effort of all these officers that we can successfully apprehend the suspect and save this officer's life and ensure public safety.